Welcome into New Orleans Saints Now. I am Tom Downey, and before we get into today's show, if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. We are approaching the 7,000 mark, inside of 200 away, as we continue to be one of the fastest growing YouTube channels here at Chat Sports, if not the fastest growing one. We appreciate everyone's support so far. If you've already subbed, thank you very much. If you haven't, get on board. We're going to keep doing more videos all off season long. You're watching New Orleans Saints Now by Chat Sports. Once again, I am Tom Downey. We're going to break down the latest around the Saints, and that begins with one of the main rumors out there, or hopeful rumors maybe is the better term for it. Could Odell Beckham be the latest former LSU Tiger to make his way back to New Orleans and to play for the Saints? OBJ continues to be linked in no small part due to Jarvis Landry, who recently signed a one-year, $6-ish million deal with the Saints. Only about $3 million in terms of actual money he's for sure going to get this year. But Landry and OBJ have been boys for a long time, and Landry's kind of sort of been recruiting him on Twitter, not like the full-fledged actual push, but there have been those Twitter conversations and whatnot there. This would make a lot more sense. Saints didn't draft Chris Olave in the first round, but we'll come back to that later on. But Odell Beckham is the ideal want player for a lot of NFL teams out there. This is a household name. At one point, it seemed like Odell Beckham was on course for one of the best careers ever. Those first 3 years with the Giants were nothing short of incredible. He looked like an already superstar wide receiver. Unfortunately, although he did begin to return to form with the Rams in 12 games, including the postseason stretch, tore his ACL in the Super Bowl. He is not going to be ready to go in time for Week 1. The last 2 years for OBJ, in part due to injuries, have not been very good. And down years for Odell Beckham still include 1,000-yard seasons. The problem is he has not been that dude he was at the beginning of his career since his first 3 years wrapped up. It has been a quieter run as of late for Odell Beckham, but he is a big-time name in a league that covets wide receiver talent, and Beckham would add to an already very strong, if healthy, wide receiver core in New Orleans. So what do you think? Do you want the Saints to go out and sign Odell Beckham? You can type in OBJ for yes you do, or no BJ for you do not. Now, this is going to be the pinned comments on today's video. So if you're watching here on YouTube and the ad break happens to play, take advantage of it. While the ad plays, head down there and you can type in your OBJs for yes and your no BJs for no. If the Saints sign Odell Beckham, I don't think anyone's going to be that mad because it is Odell Beckham. But they also shouldn't be mad if they do not sign him. And that is because the Saints simply do not need Odell Beckham. Receiver has gone from where we were sitting, this time last year when Michael Thomas was hurt again, arguably one of the worst units in the entire NFL at the position, to this team is in really good shape. Michael Thomas, in theory, should be healthy, should be back for Week 1, should be good to go, etc. He can reemerge as a number one receiver. You draft Chris Olave in the first round. Now you put Jarvis Landry in the slot, Thomas, Olave on the outside, Landry in the slot. That's a really good trio at receiver. You've got depth in Traquan Smith, Marquez Callaway, and even Deontay Hardy, who we'll see what kind of impact he makes this year. Now he's further on the depth chart. So is Smith and Callaway, etc. The Saints receiving core, dare I say, is good, if not really good. And that means the addition of Odell Beckham is not a must for this team. Let's look at some more free agent options for the Saints. These 3 names pitched by SB Nation: Akiem Hicks, the defensive lineman, Darrel Williams, the running back, and Quan Alexander, the linebacker. Now, we will not spend much time on Darrel Williams because we've spent a lot of time on him here in the past. So I want you guys to head down to the comments section and let me know. We'll go more in depth on Hicks and Alexander here momentarily, but I want you to name a player who you want the Saints to sign. Keep it realistic, but as you Saints fans know, money is never an issue in New Orleans. spent some more time here on one Akiem Hicks, who was at his best as a run-stopping defensive lineman. The numbers did dip last year, though the sacks stayed pretty high. Injuries have been a bit of an issue in recent years as well for New Orleans. That 2018 campaign, I don't think you're going to be able to get him. But if you're looking for some defensive line depth on the interior, Hicks was a 3-4 defensive end for the Saints, or for the Bears. He's not going to play defensive end in New Orleans. He'd be a defensive tackle. Could he beat out Contavious Street, a Malcolm Roach, a Shy Tuttle, maybe rookie Jordan Jackson? It's possible. It's a good name to explore. I do think the injuries are a potential red flag, though, as we sit here for Hicks across the NFL. Let's go to the linebacker then. Quan Alexander, a name we know oh so well. He played for the Saints last year. 7 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks. Alexander can still help a team, especially on third downs as a coverage player in particular. I am okay if the Saints bring him back. He's a good veteran, right? I'm also like, yeah, it's fine. Don't bring him back. I want to unleash Pete Werner. You're talking about breakout candidates. I think Werner's a prime one for this organization. A second-round pick in last year's NFL draft behind only Peyton Turner, who was the team's first-round selection. We know Demario Davis is a stud. They did draft DeMarco Jackson in the 5th round as well. So if you want to bring Alexander back only to be a backup, sure, I get it. I'm fine. I also don't want to have Alexander be a progress blocker for Werner, and the Saints don't really use a strong side linebacker very much either because it is, after all, 2022, and nickel is the base defense. All right, more free agent targets, this time only at running back, and this grouping by Sports Illustrated. Once again, we're not going to spend much time on Darrel Williams. We have in the past. Make sure you guys are subscribed. The 2 names mentioned, David Johnson and Wayne Gallman. Running back has been a focal point for many of the Saints blogs out there because Alvin Kamara is a stud, is facing a potential suspension for his actions at the Pro Bowl in Vegas, or while at the Pro Bowl, I should say, in Vegas. Mark Ingram is an aging but reliable veteran back. Tony Jones didn't impress that much last year. Dwayne Washington, Devine Zigbo, Abram Smith, I don't know if you feel confident in those guys having to take touches for you in the event Kamara is suspended. So we will go more in depth on Wayne Gallman and David Johnson because we talked about Darrel Williams, but you can pick him of the 3 backs if you want to. Type in DJ for David Johnson, DW for Darrel Williams, or WG for Wayne Gallman. Let me know who you would want to add at running back right now in the comments section. All right, the last 4 years of David Johnson, to be blunt, have not been very good. 2018 was a good season, 940 yards, 7 scores, but on a massive volume. And he was a little bit better in terms of efficiency in 2020, but they cut back on his workload. To be blunt, when you have a 30-year-old back who hasn't had a 1,000-yard season and has averaged less than 4 yards per carry over the past 4 years, and 5 if you include the injury year he had in 2017, I think you're washed. I know that David Johnson had that awesome 1 year. I think we have to call him what he is, though, at this point, which is I think David Johnson is a 1-year wonder. I do not think he is a reliable back. If you want to add him that 1-year deal, sure. Those deals have never, ever gone wrong because they're cheap and affordable. But if we expect him to be that prime David Johnson, we're going to be really disappointed. So if you want to add him, sure. I ain't going to be mad if they don't, though. Wayne Gallman, meanwhile, had a pretty nice 2020 campaign for a guy that hadn't done much of anything in his NFL career. Unfortunately for Gallman, he didn't do jack in 2021. The Giants didn't bring him back. The Niners signed him. He doesn't make the roster. He goes play for the Falcons briefly, doesn't play that much or that well, gets released. The Vikings pick him up, and now he's still unsigned. And coming off a really bad production year, you wonder just how much interest there is right now in Wayne Gallman. So all those backs, fine. You can bring them in if you want. They're also not necessarily like, oh, yeah, we're loaded now. We got this. It's May, late May. You're not going to find, for the most part, impact players in free agency. And to be fair, the Saints already signed 2 of the best ones after the draft in both Tyrann Mathieu and Jarvis Landry. If the Saints do sign somebody, which I wouldn't be surprised if they did at some capacity, we will break it down. So make sure you follow or subscribe to us here at New Orleans Saints Now. It's youtube.com/Saints Today. Hit that big red button and don't miss out on anything.